volunteers, it's good for you, it's got rid of all the buttons.
Yeah, and like I wish you guys all the best. And you should have more support because some of your ideas are great, especially like the transit ideas. Like, great.
Yeah, it's nice to have a party that will say that will talk about the issues that no one else will.
Yeah, exactly. And you're even in your important voice. You really are.
Well, might be a very fortunate position to capitalize on the chaos and the dissatisfaction. So when I get to get the tip on it.
Sure, right. Camille.ca.
Okay, because this is really great stuff. Great stuff.
Great, thank you. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, and like I wish you guys all the best. And you should have more support because some of your ideas are great, especially like the transit ideas. Like, great.
Yeah, it's nice to have a party that will say that will talk about the issues that no one else will.
Yeah, exactly. And you're even in your important voice. You really are.
Well, might be a very fortunate position to capitalize on the chaos and the dissatisfaction. So when I get to get the tip on it.
Sure, right. Camille.ca.
Okay, because this is really great stuff.
Great, thank you. Nice to meet you.
It was fine, but
Camille, I'll just get you to say your name and your title, I guess, for this particular event.
It's Camille Labchuk, and I'm the Green Party candidate in the Trinity-Spadina by-election.
And right now we're in downtown Toronto on Isabella Street where the Pride Week is happening, and you have your booth set up there behind us. Why here?
Well, that's right. The Green Party has been a proud supporter of rights for all LGBTQ communities for as long as I've been a member, and we actually had the first gay leader of a political party in Canada, and we were the first party to call for same-sex marriage. So they're important issues. We've always fought for equality, and we're happy to be here this weekend.
Next question, why Toronto and why not running in Charlottetown or, in closer to home?
Well, Pat, Toronto's been my home for the past 5 years. I've lived and worked and gone to school in the Trinity-Spadina riding. So when the seat opened up, it felt like a natural fit. And I figure my mother's got things locked up at home.
Well, actually, your mother has done a lot for the environment on Prince Edward Island and for the Green Party on Prince Edward Island. So is it just that you didn't think that you could do anything on PEI, or it's a different thing? Like, why Toronto? Why not PEI?
It has to do with the opportunities available in the fields I want to work in. I went to law school after I worked for the Green Party in Ottawa for a number of years, and PEI sadly doesn't have a law school, maybe someday. And now I practice criminal defense and animal rights law, which is only really beginning to be a field at all in Toronto, and certainly not in PEI or elsewhere, unfortunately.
So you grew up on PEI. How does that influence, who you are today when you're in Toronto and what you want to be for your career? You're a politician and lawyer.
Well, I think growing up with an environmentalist mother gave me a pretty strong political conscience from day one. I remember going to, I was homeschooled, so I spent a lot of time with my mother going to political meetings, campaign meetings with Earth Action and Eco-PEI. So the political consciousness and the environmental awareness has been instilled in me from day one, and I want to carry on that work now in my professional life.
Now, I'm sure you realize and you would see that she sometimes was not very popular with her views on the environment, and some farmers didn't really like what she was doing. So what do you think you learned from that, watching her and how she handled all that?
I learned a lot from her. I learned never to back down if I think I'm right. And I learned that with time and patience and real sustained effort, you can make a difference. She took flack for her views at times, and it wasn't always easy for her. But now, 25 years after she started the work, people have really come to recognize the issues that she spoke about. We recognize the dangers of pesticide use in PEI. We recognize that we have a drinking water problem. We recognize that we have to do better to take care of our planet.
And how did that affect you when you saw your mom, running for the Green Party and not doing very well, and also, trying to save the environment? But, how did that affect you when you saw that as a kid?
Well, I was always very proud of her, and in fact, her involvement in the Green Party is how I first came to the party. It was exciting for me to finally see that there was a party out there that espoused the same views that I cared about. I never had a political party before the Greens came on the scene federally, so I'm pretty proud of what she managed to accomplish. She, as we know, came third after the Liberals and the PCs in the two elections that she contested as leader of the PEI Greens, and she actually beat the NDP, which has never happened before in Canadian history, twice.
So there's hope for the Greens on PEI?
There's hope for the Greens everywhere.
What about here?
There's hope for me here. It's a tight race, and people...
Well, actually, you say tight because I saw a story about this riding, and it was on one of the the mainstream media, and it didn't really mention the Green Party. It was just the Liberals, the NDP, or the Conservatives.
Well, unfortunately, the media likes to analyze these races in terms of horse races. What I hear from people on the doorsteps is very different. We've had a couple of really vigorous debates. People in Trinity Spadina are very engaged. They're very concerned about climate change, and they're very concerned about what Stephen Harper has done to this country. Those are the number one and number two issues in this riding. And what I've been saying to people, and what people I think have been receiving quite well, is that one more Liberal NDP or NDP MP in Ottawa isn't going to change anything. But if you vote for a Green, if I win, or even if I do really well, you send the strongest possible message that the status quo just isn't good enough.
And how do you think you're going to do realistically?
Well, I'm not going to make any predictions. That's always up to the voters. I think there's one thing that pollsters have shown us in recent years. It's that they don't know what they're talking about half the time. So the only poll I pay attention to is the one on Election Day. But based on the number of signs that we have in the riding and the response at the doorsteps, I'm hopeful.
And if you don't win, what do you do?
I've got lots of other projects on the go, including starting my own law practice when the campaign is over. So
you just graduated a year ago.
That's right. I've been practicing for a year now, and I've really enjoyed doing criminal defense work. It helps me protect the rights of people, impoverished people, people from racial communities, people with mental health issues, people with addictions, people who need help speaking up for themselves. And I want to continue that and do more work in the animal protection sphere as well, and speak up for animals who also have no voices.
And where does that come from, the protecting animal rights?
It's been something I've always cared about since as long as I can remember. I was concerned about animals and hated to see them mistreated. I went vegetarian when I was 12 after seeing a CBC documentary about animals being abused in some horrible way, and it stayed with me ever since, and I see that I can make a big impact in that area.
Camille, I asked what you would do if you don't win, and that would be on the positive side. What will you do if you do win?
I would love to become a coalition partner in a government someday. I think the Green Party has it in us. In countries around the world, coalition governments do amazing work. They work together and they represent most people in a country and not simply a minority like the false majority that Stephen Harper has right now. I think there's huge potential for Greens to work cooperatively with other parties to get issues like climate change on the agenda, like urban transit. That's a particularly important issue in my riding of Trinity Spadina.
Are you planning to come back to PEI this summer for a visit?
I sure hope so.
As the MP for Trinity Spadina?
I sure hope so again. That would make it even sweeter.
Okay, well, we'll see you when you get back, and good luck. Thanks very much, Camille.
Thanks, Pat. Nice to see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.